On the 29th of October, over 200 people were killed when water came flooding into towns south of the city of Valencia. Many of these small towns were devastated and will not return to normality in weeks, months, or even years. People's lives were changed forever from that day on. In spite of this, life goes on. This is also true for teachers. After the floods, many teachers have turned to online teaching. One of these is Charo Lopez, a secondary school teacher and university lecturer. She has kindly agreed to be interviewed to talk to us about how digital skills can be used to continue to learn, even though students cannot attend regular face-to-face classes. What is your personal situation now, and what has it been like during these difficult times?
Well, I would say that now we are getting back to kind of new normality, a new normalcy for us. We're getting back to face-to-face lessons, step by step, starting from a secondary education. And next week, we'll get back with the university lectures as well. Life is getting back, we would say. I mean, the town is still devastated, and you'll see people cleaning and trying to help everywhere still. But we as teachers are trying to focus on our task, which is to get our students back to classrooms. And well, that's the situation nowadays, basically.
Okay, but what was it like right at the beginning?
Well, at the beginning, first of all, we were really, really scared because we didn't really know what was going around. Everything happened so fast that we just couldn't believe our eyes. That evening, it was within minutes. I mean, water started to flood everywhere. In my case, for example, we took our car from the garage just for precaution, because it never happened before, and we didn't expect that to happen, of course. But then water suddenly went through all the streets in Paiporta. We couldn't save the car, absolutely. It was stupid to try to save it. But I mean, we live in a building, so we knew that the water wouldn't reach the third floor in which we live in, but we were really scared. The light went out, so in the end we couldn't see anything until the next day. And when we woke up the morning later, it was horrible. And at the beginning, I think everybody was in shock. And we didn't know what to do, where to start. We knew we had been lucky because we only had material loss, but many people can tell that story. So it's been a really hard month, and there's so much to do, even now, that we just don't know when we will get back to the last normalcy or the old times. So yeah, it's been pretty hard.
Yeah, because Paiporta was probably the worst hit of all the towns, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. Yes, 100% of town has been affected. 100%. No business going around now. All the garages in town had been flooded. All the houses, which are just ground floors, and yeah, nearly 100 people died here.
Wow, that's terrible.
Terrible.
How did you manage to start teaching again, and how do you think your digital skills have helped you in online classes?
Mm-hmm. Well, all the universities in Valencia decided to start going online because there was a transport problem all around the city, not only in the cities that were directly affected by the flood. And For me personally, the first problem was that I didn't even have internet connection at home. We didn't have internet connection for more than 2 weeks. So my neighbors had to throw a cable literally from the terrace so I could connect it and start going online with my lessons. And the first challenge I had to face was that I couldn't focus. I was at the beginning, I was so centered in my personal situation and all that was happening around that it was very difficult to focus. But then when we started and when I saw my students through the screen, I realized that it was healing for me. And I think that it was healing for them as well, because most of them had been also affected and they were struggling to get an internet connection and time to connect. So I think that technology has been really, really helpful for us all. And digital skills are also helpful because you know how to manage to plan an online lesson and to create presentations and pretend that we're doing a normal class. And I knew that the experience during the pandemic, during the COVID, helped us a lot to, well, you know, learn to handle these situations. But the first challenge was the, let's say, hardware. Because if we don't have connection, it will be impossible just to start. And some of our students had lost also their equipment. So we designed a kind of hybrid approach to be able to get to all of them. So we designed purely online lessons for the ones who could connect, streaming or live lessons, and then asynchronous tasks and lessons for those who weren't able to connect from the beginning.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Mm.
Lastly, how can virtual exchange in particular and new technologies in general help us in these types of situations?
I've been thinking about virtual exchanges in particular because most of students mainly only had connections with other people that had also been affected. So it was difficult for them to get out of their environment, of their close environments. And I think that virtual exchange can help them to get out from this environment and to help them to think of other things and talk to other people and talk about other things which are different from how are you, how's your family, what have you lost, and all these things. I think that it's particularly useful for the emotional side and for the well-being. And also because when you organize a virtual exchange, you have this routine and you plan sessions and you plan meetings, and that gives a sense of routine and normalcy that we all need, that we really need, and as teachers and also our students.
Thank you very much, Charo.
You're welcome.